Welcome to the Sweet Smiles podcast, where smiles are baked into every story. I'm Chelsea Bogg, Marketing Director with Icing Smiles, and in this podcast, we share the heartfelt stories of the families, volunteer bakers, donors, and community members who make our mission possible. Every dream cake has a story behind it, and today we're sharing one of those stories. Today, I'm joined by Marissa, Executive Director for the Retail Bakers of America and one of the newest members of the Icing Smiles Board of Directors. Marissa has dedicated her career to supporting the baking industry, and today we're talking about her journey, the work of RBA, why she chose to join the Icing Smiles Board, and how partnerships can create even more smiles for families across the country. Hey, Marissa.
Hey, Chelsea. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. So do you want to start off telling us a little bit about yourself and what led you to the baking industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been with RBA now for, I think, about 8 years, which is absolutely wild, and been in the executive director role for 2 of those years. I started baking when I was a kid, right? So my mom would just let me in the kitchen, use the oven, and I used to bake all the time. So much so that I would take stuff into school. There was too much that my family couldn't even consume it in the house. So we were overrun by baked goods. But, no one in my family was in the food service industry, and I didn't think of it as a career. So I went to a traditional liberal arts college, finished, and had struggled a little bit kind of finding my direction. I decided I would work front of house bakery after graduating from college, doing all of that. I ended up front of the house in Boston at a bakery there and loved it. I was like, I just want to make cookies. That's what I want to do. So I called up the owner and was like, can I work for you? And she said, well, in the front of the house, sure, let's give that a try. And then after that, I was hooked. I decided to go to culinary school. And then I started in the baking industry. So I worked in traditional bakeries, in restaurants, and in hotels. So I did do quite a few wedding cakes. I did catering, kind of the whole range of baking and the pastry chef world. And I ended up having children. And it's a very difficult lifestyle in baking, maintaining a family. It's not conducive with the hours, the physicality of it, and then having children and you're just exhausted. So I decided to go back to school because I knew that I possibly would want to teach and do food writing. So this is quite the convoluted
No, I
tale.
appreciate it. It's actually going to be really interesting. You and I are very similar in our backgrounds.
So I did NYU's food studies program and studied food culture. Specifically, I focused on the performance of gender in the professional kitchen and women's role throughout history in professional cooking. So I studied that. I did a lot of writing and I ended up teaching at the Culinary Institute of America, teaching gastronomy and product knowledge for bakers. So ingredient functionality, basic equipment, things like that. And from there, I met one of the board members of RBA and I started managing RBA's certification. So RBA has the Certified Master Baker credential, among others. So I started coordinating those tests for the RBA, and that's how I got connected with RBA, and now here I am. So it
Here
was
we
quite a
are.
yeah, and it's been a wonderful one, and I love working for RBA, but having seen different aspects of the industry, retail bakeries, hotels, kind of all different facets of where our sweets and cakes and cookies come from.
It's really neat, all the different backgrounds and how each angle really applies. And it's nice that you've seen it from all those angles, which I'm sure is what led you to this role that you're in.
Yeah, bakers, even, going to culinary school, there's a vibe to the bakers. There's just a different mentality and approach and really a love for the craft. It's wonderful to
Yeah.
be around those folks still.
Yes, it resonated with me when you said, I just want to make cookies.
I want to make
I did my
cookies.
right. I did my bachelor's in marketing and communications first. And I didn't know I was going to culinary school next, but through an agreement with my parents, which this story could go on, but I said I'd get a bachelor's first and then go into my culinary degree. So I did my bachelor's in 3 years and I was in my session with my advisor and they were like, you're really strong in statistics and in math. You could go one more year, get a degree in statistical analytics, leave here making three figures. And I was like, I just want to decorate cakes. And he did not understand me for the life of it, but we're our own breed and we have a love and a passion for what we do. And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, well, cool. What a neat background that you have and so many different places that you bring to the table. So, what about this industry has kept you passionate over the years?
For me, the passion comes from the people that I've worked with. Uh, there is an incredible dynamic and camaraderie in the kitchen or in the bake shop. So my passion has always been sustained by, of course, I love physically baking. I like baking, but I think what has sustained the passion are the people that I've worked with and just the relationships you develop when you're working on a project jointly with somebody. And that's basically what being in a bake shop is, right? It's a giant project that you're all working on and in it together. When the busy season comes and it's Thanksgiving or Christmas or Mother's Day or whatever it is, you're all in it together and you're all working beautifully as a team. If it's in an ideal setting, I've been very lucky to work, I think, in for people that have managed their staffs beautifully and set a healthy tone to the work environment, which isn't always the case in the food world. So that's been a privilege to work for the bakery owners that I've worked for or for the chefs that I've worked for. The people are very giving of their time. They're willing to teach. I think if you love something, it's a joy to share that skill. And I think a lot of food industry folks have that. So if you see someone doing a technique that you've never seen or doing a certain, whatever it is, making a cake in a certain way you've never seen it done, people are willing to teach you that. So there's an enthusiasm that grows when you share skills and knowledge. And I even see it within RBA. So like RBA, we have our RBA Connect forum, and people are so giving of information, of formulas and things like that. Our members are not competing with one another necessarily. So why not share your knowledge, whether it's on the business side or the technical side, to make everyone's lives easier?
I'm
Yeah.
a huge advocate for it's community over competition.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about what we do is everybody eats. So, but I live in a small town and there are plenty of bakers in my small town. And I'm the first person who somebody comes to me and is like, can you do this? And I'm not available. And I'm like, no, go to this baker, go to this baker. It's got to be that way.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. And the giving nature of these people is why Icing Smiles exists. We
Yeah.
wouldn't exist without the giving nature behind it. But what a cool people that you've worked for kept you passionate on it because burnout's real also.
Yeah.
And the community that comes together to make it happy and fun all the time is important.
Yeah. I'm always blown away. We do bakery tours with RBL all the time with our events. And we'll call up these bakeries and say, hey, we want to bring in 20 professionals, 30 people to go like visit your bakery. Are you open to it? And I would say 90% of the time, bakeries are willing to let us come in and talk to us. And it's very, very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so that leads me into tell us a little bit about the Retail Bakers of America. And for somebody who's listening, what exactly it is if they've not heard of it before.
Yeah, thanks, Chelsea. So the RBA is a national nonprofit that supports retail bakery owners and baking professionals. So RBA offers business support, education. We do about, I would say, 2 webinars per month that are free to our members, and also in-person events as well. I mentioned the bakery tours. We do something called our RBA roadshows a few times a year where we do a day of business education. We've found that as retail bakery owners, you sometimes feel sort of alone in the world. Your world is your bakery, and it's sometimes hard to see outside of that world. So we hope that with RBA, we develop a community for those bakery owners to help make life easier. Again, provide that community that I was talking about before. So we offer education, resources. We have that RBA Connect forum where folks can connect virtually, and we do certifications as well. So we have 3 different levels of baking certification, one geared towards those new in the industry or just leaving a baking and pastry program, culinary school. That's our certified journey baker, our certified baker, and then our certified master baker as well, which is a pretty rigorous exam. It's a 200 question written exam and then a 2-day practical. but that's intended for those that have 10 plus years experience in the industry already. That's a little bit about what we do. And we also participate. Our big show that we do is IBIE, the International Baking Expo, every 3 years in Las Vegas, where we bring everyone together in person.
That's great. And it's cool because while I did talk about community in our own little towns, there is something from somebody who has the same style bakery you have or the same, audience, whatever it may be. You might not have that right in your own town, but the connections that are formed through RBA are really special that you can connect with these people in different parts of the country that you wouldn't necessarily know otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's as simple as asking what equipment people are using or little bits of information that really can simplify your life.
That
Yeah.
is great. So what's one of the most rewarding parts of your role as the executive director?
Geez, I think there's so much, but a couple of different aspects of my job that I love and are incredibly rewarding. We have our membership, and a lot of that is virtual, right? We see people on the forum, we do the webinars, but then I think it's actually bringing people face to face and seeing those connections made in person that is the most rewarding because then those connections become really real and people develop very deep one-on-one relationships and that network becomes even stronger. So I would say that's an enormous part of what I love about my job. And then I would say also seeing people go through the certification process. Again, that's where I started with RBA. So I have a soft spot for the certification, but seeing people apply and then practice, and there's a process where you have to submit photos and things like that to us. And then seeing someone accomplish that level of baking, it's a tough test. So seeing someone produce at that high skill level and do it gracefully, and sometimes things don't go according to plan in those situations, right? Navigating those challenges with grace and poise, observing that I think is so humbling. I am not a certified master baker, right? I've not gone through that test, but as a baker, to see folks put themselves through that voluntarily, right? And prove themselves in that way is such an accomplishment. And it is always amazing to see somebody succeed in that test.
Of rewarding and to know too that the whole RBA staff is behind them,
Yeah.
cheering them run through it. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what are some of the biggest challenges that independent bakeries are facing today?
Right now, we're seeing a lot of our bakeries struggle with staffing, finding new people to work in the industry or retaining employees has been a huge challenge. So that's something we talk about quite a bit. Also, we see a lot of challenges right now with adapting new technologies. How do we fit AI in our bakeries? Well, how is that going to help us succeed? That's a huge conversation right now. But even changes in equipment, technology that now is integrated into ovens or mixers and
Right.
um, how to, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the staffing, right? How do we most efficiently use our staff and this equipment together? How do we train staff on this new equipment, staffing, technology? And then there's also been a lot of talk with health trends right now that our bakeries are adapting to, whether that's like high protein. I would say the one thing that our retailers have that is an advantage is our bakeries with an RBA are relatively small scale. They are mom and pop bakeries. Some of our bakery members have multi locations, but they're not enormous production lines. We're not, for the most part, wholesale bakeries that have large production lines where it's harder to adapt to trends because you have to change your entire system. Our bakers are relatively flexible and they can pivot. Our retail bakeries are the first to kind of adopt these trends and they're leaders in trends. Then you start seeing it more in your grocery stores, right? Bakeries are the first ones to kind of implement those.
That leads me right into then what's one trend in the baking industry that you especially out?
There's several, but I love that lamination is having its moment, and it's been
Yes.
for a while now, right? I love that it's had its moment, but it's maintaining. I think it is such a beautiful technique, and there's so many different adaptations now of the croissant and the savory applications of
Mhm.
a lot of these products as well. It kind of goes hand in hand with the food trends and health. People are, I don't know if it's healthy so much, Chelsea, but people are going
Love it.
to grease not just for a treat, but something that can qualify as a meal as well. So coming in for a croissant that's not just a treat, but also stuffed with sausage and whatever else that might be in
Yeah.
there as a meal. So those are some of that's one of the trends that I really love. I also love in cakes, kind of the vintage designs that have come back.
Yes. They are beautiful. And lamination is such a labor of love. My husband's not a cake sweets eater, but loves a Danish. And I'm like, oh, we might need to go to the shop down the road to support them. Well, so you've recently joined the Icing Smile board of directors. What made you say yes?
So I've been doing cakes with icing smiles for several years now. And I think I first met you all at IBIE 2022. I connected with Tracy, and I was like, I have to be involved with this. It really brings baking back down to its kind of quintessential joy, which is bringing joy to others. One of the things that led me to baking was that idea of baking for others and bringing a cake or muffins into school to share with classmates, for example. And when you start doing baking professionally, a little bit of that is lost, right?
Yep.
It becomes your career and it becomes kind of a grind. And you're just through your production list making this product. And occasionally, maybe you're in the front of the house and seeing the fruits of your labor and that happy customer. But a lot of times you're cut off from that. So to have an outlet for me to see the joy that comes from this beautiful cake is a reminder to me of why I fell in love with baking in the first place.
That's beautifully said.
Yeah, thank you.
No, it's true. Heart and soul of what our mission is to bring joy. And I know I've said this a million and one times, but like cakes, period, bring joy. Cakes that people pay for, but it's a different level of joy that we get to be a part of with Icing Smiles. We talked about the giving nature of our bakers. We've talked about happiness that cakes brings, and this gets to put it all together in one package and serving a population that shouldn't be going through what they're going through. These kids fight battles bigger than any of us. And it's so cool the power behind what a cake can do. And I love to hear people who like meet Tracy, meet somebody at a show out in the wild, and automatically they're like, that's it. Why didn't I think of that? The mission is there. It's meant to be, and it's beautiful to be a part of.
One of the first places that I worked was here in Ohio, and the owner, whose name was Sue, would always say if we had a really hard day or things were not going well, she would say, "Don't." She would take a pause. She'd be like, "It's okay, breathe. It's just cake." Right. So that's always been my mantra that it's just cake. However, when you bring a cake to a child that's in a situation like at Icing Smile, like, oh my gosh, this is much more than cake in that scenario. It world changing and seeing that impact that something truly as simple as a cake.
Yeah.
It might be complex in design, but a cake is a simple thing,
Right.
right? So seeing something as simple as a cake make that sort of impact is huge.
Yes. It goes to too, though, at the end of the day, like, it's just a cake. It's not something that as a baker we need to stress over. These families are appreciative, they love it, and it is so much more than a cake because it's that moment of celebration. It impacts multiple layers of people, and it's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So we are so happy to have you on our board at Icing Smiles. What unique perspective do you hope to bring to the board?
Well, I hope that I'm able to find ways to magnify the impact of Icing Smiles. We have such a huge community within RBA, IBIE, between the retail bakery owners, the pastry chefs, the suppliers, right?
Yeah.
These are all folks that can get involved with something like Icing Smiles to make a bigger impact. Just bringing the lens, a magnifying glass on what you all do and spotlighting that in the greater baking community is something I hope that I can provide for Icing Smiles and give you guys the stage that I think you deserve.
To us too. No, but truly, we are so excited about not only just you, but also being a part of RBA and getting to work together. What makes our partnership so important?
Oh, I think there's such synergy between our organizations. I think there's a lot of crossover in what our goals are in terms of that community and connecting folks to better their communities. So I think that's the biggest crossover.
You have a specific example of like a bakery you all have worked with that through the community that you guys created RBA, that their business has been strengthened.
Sure. Well, I think one of the fun and impactful works that RBA does is actually National Bakery Day. So National Bakery Day is this holiday that we've been doing now with RBA for 10 years, where we hope that it's a day where really bakeries can celebrate that aspect of being a pillar in their community and bring in more business for them and increases kind of their presence in the community and celebrates that. So we do see on that day and before leading up to it and afterwards, all of these incredible posts of what bakeries are doing in their neighborhoods and how they are managing outreach to their communities. So that's one example of
Yeah.
kind of a tangible result that we see through RBA.
Yeah, that leads me into to talk about our upcoming partnership. National Bakery Day isn't until September, but it's never too soon to start planning and bakeries getting it onto their map. And I know we're working on layers of how our bakers can take National Bakery Day to a next level and hopefully support Icing Smiles in the process. Whether that's through a specific item that they're selling, whether that's through just putting our information on your counter as people come into this shop. Why do you think giving back is such an important part of the baking community?
Well, I think it's very powerful when you're interacting with customers to be able to provide a cookie or whatever it might be, or that hub for community in their town, but then also to connect that to a larger cause that also impacts the community. There are children in that town that are probably receiving cakes, right? You guys do cakes cross country for kids everywhere. So having customers see that larger impact and then also sharing those results is important. You can do a day of giving as a part of National Bakery Day, but then also I think bringing customers in to share the impact that they've had in that fundraiser is important. So knowing if it's a dollar per cup of coffee that you're donating, or if there's a product specific that you're selling, where that revenue goes to Icing, sharing that so people understand what they've been a part of.
Yeah, definitely. What would you say to a bakery owner who wants to give back but feels overwhelmed by owning a business and running the day to day because it's a real thing?
Yeah, I would say that giving back can be written into a long-term marketing plan for yourself and your bakery. And with that, it's a matter of planning far in advance. I know it's hard. No one feels like they have time, but developing a marketing plan for yourself and setting aside a marketing budget, whatever that might be, is just a part of business ownership. And it's one that gets overlooked quite a bit. We have a small business marketing toolkit that's a 10 chapter series that's available to all of our members. And part of this is having tools to organize yourself as well. So having a social media calendar, knowing what the social media platforms are and where you should be marketing based on your demographic of customer, for example. Those are all parts of the struggle of how am I going to get this done? It's creating a map for yourself to accomplish the things you want to communicate to your customers. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd just add to it too that like these bakeries start small. You don't have to come in and move mountains for Icing Smiles. Just putting a sign at your register that says I'm a proud sugar angel, like to us, that's huge. It's that logo recognition. It's the people seeing it over and over again. Our goal, and we're working hard on it this year, is we want to become a household name. We want somebody to say Icing Smiles and it to roll off your tongue and people be like, oh, I love that group. Like they are awesome. Whereas a lot of times right now, people explain Icing Smiles and it's, oh, wow. Like that is a great idea. How cool is that? And we love that. Like we're so excited. You're excited for us also. But we want everyone to just know about us. Like we're out here spreading the word. So for the bakeries who are trying to figure out how to put philanthropy in your program, start small. Hopefully it's us, but whatever your cause is, put a message out there and then you can build into the financial aspect of it and the outreach parts
Yeah.
of it.
And I would say that sign at your register, it impacts more than your customers. It also impacts your employees. We talked
Yeah,
earlier
great
about
point.
how attraction and retention of employees is such a challenge. Gen Z is very cause related and conscious, and any employee wants to be a part of a business that they feel good about, right? Attaching to Icing Smiles and educating the staff about what you all do, I would create excitement within the staff, but they can communicate to
Yeah.
customers as well.
Yes, it can be such
Yeah,
a community thing on both
yeah.
sides. If you could encourage every bakery in America to do one thing this year, what would it be?
Aside from getting involved with Icing Smiles,
Right. I mean, I'm in.
um, well, definitely becoming aware of causes in the community like Icing Smiles and ways that you can impact as a business in a community. There's a lot of power that comes with that, right? You have influence, a lot of customers, you're a part of people's lives and becoming even more engaged with an Icing Smiles. I said that in jest at the start, right? But it's true. I think getting involved at a deeper level with community makes you stronger as a business. So that I think that would be my biggest takeaway. The more you can get involved with the community, the stronger you'll be in your business as well.
Yeah, great point. So, where can people go to find out more information about the Retail Bakers of America and how can they get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to retailbakersofamerica.org. You can also follow us on social media: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Retail Bakers of America are great ways to get in touch. Or feel free to reach out to me directly, Marissa Sertich. All my info is also on the RBA website.
Awesome. Well, Marissa, thanks so much for joining us today, for saying yes to serving on the Icing Smiles board. We're grateful for the partnership between RBA and Icing Smiles, and we're excited to see how we can come together to inspire the baking community to continue to bake a difference one smile at a time. Thank you for listening to the Sweet Smiles podcast, where smiles are baked into every story. If today's story inspired you, we invite you to learn more about how you can support the mission of Icing Smiles, whether that's by volunteering, donating, or simply sharing our story. You can find out more information at www.icingsmiles.org. Until next time, keep spreading kindness and helping us bake more smiles.